into Vikings Weekly. I'm your host, Tatum Everett, and the Vikings return to US Bank Stadium this Sunday. They host the Bears, dipping back into divisional play, the first time they've seen them since Week 1, when they beat the Bears 27-24. Coming up in today's show, we'll hear from head coach Kevin O'Connell on why he thought the offense had some communication struggles on Sunday. ESPN's Courtney Cronin reveals what the Bears have been doing so well during their hot streak. And Vikings analyst Pete Bercich revisits the film room to illustrate how the Bears leverage their run game to create opportunities in the RPO scheme. It was a wild come-from-behind win the last time the Vikings faced the Bears, led by quarterback J.J. McCarthy. However, this Vikings team is now 4-5 and looking for more consistency on offense after their loss against the Ravens last week.
The communication on the front end, I feel like, was the biggest thing for us. Just making sure, going into the week, everyone knows the cadences, everyone knows which ones we're going to use, and sticking to that. There's a lot of different, tempos and rhythms to my cadence that, I have to clean up and make sure that we're all spot on for every single play and every single motion and all those little things. But, yeah, there's been a huge emphasis on just the little things, and that's one of the things we're hitting on.
Getting the ball in the hands of our playmakers and letting us go and doing our thing, and I think that's what we've talked about is just trying to stay efficient and we have to be in a manageable third down too. I think that's a big part of it. We talked about last week, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit in early downs, and now you're in third and long and third and unmanageable. So I think that's really a key factor is being efficient on first and second down, and then trying to get into that third and manageable and just make it easier. I mean, once you get outside of 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, it's tough on an offense to be able to try and go, get another, whatever 10+ yards and make that third down. So, and that's just us being efficient on offense and all 11 doing our jobs.
This offense knows they have to be on the same page if they want to improve to 3-0 in the NFC North. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell shared that same sentiment when he was on X's and O's with voice of the Vikings Paul Allen earlier this week.
I think we've got to have a crisper huddle operation. I'm a big fan, I've said this before, of if the huddle is clean, everybody breaks the huddle with total absolute certainty of play, formation, play, motion, whatever it is, and ultimately have that clean huddle break. It normally leads to clean execution for sure in the pre-snap, and we absolutely were totally crushed by it the other day because they were all on, like I said yesterday, 5 out of the 8 were on earned first down or first down, where we were stacking momentum within a drive. And it's been a theme all season long, is stacking positive plays. And when we do that, we're able to move the ball and score with some pretty consistent performance. And then when we have those, and I certainly have my hand in it, it is absolutely something that I've got to try to find a way to limit those negatives that happen post-snap with the play call selections. And I absolutely can continue to fit what this team this year does well with how we call these games. But at the same time, we need that total focus and absolute certainty of what my job is pre and post-snap as an all-11 group. And good things happen for the Vikings offense when we do that, and that's what we're going to continue to chase.
Well said. The team's response off the Chargers loss was terrific, and that of professionalism, efficiency, and ferocity. Likewise off Atlanta, Cincinnati paid for it. So I would imagine you're absolutely expecting the same noon this Sunday against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I just know we've got the group that they'll respond, they'll band together. They're as focused as they've been all season long. And what I've challenged these guys for, even going into last week, was we need to start showing at this point in time in the season that we've got that competitive stamina to do it week in and week out consistently in games without the lapses of times in games where we allow our opponents to recapture momentum if we have it, or it becomes further and further away from our grasp, and that's where we're at in the season, and it's great to have the response, and I know our guys will put together a heck of a week of practice and be ready to go Sunday, but we've got to start seeing it consistently to give us a chance to get to where we want to get to.
Before we close and get into some Bears minutia, we're heading into the 10th game now. Why do you think there are just 3 interceptions? Why do you think you guys have just 3 interceptions through 9?
Yeah, it's obviously been a pretty big difference from last year, all those extra possessions and those game-changing plays. I think we talk a lot about tips and overthrows, and we've had I think we had 3 or 4 the other day where the ball was up in the air and it finds the turf at US Bank Stadium. It's just not, at least in the short term, things that, over the last few games you're thinking about as a coach of, and I know Flo thinks about them, how do we continue to find ways to cause disruption and see if we can get opportunities at the football. Those things have a way of working out. And if they awarded the turnover margin winner at this point, I think a lot of teams would sign up for that. We would not be one of them. We want to go ahead and get this thing back where it belongs. It's a very, very important thing. I look at every game with this year's team as a line of scrimmage game, from a standpoint of our fronts on both sides of the ball having an impact on the other team's front. And then PA, we got to be all about the ball. We got to start winning the turnover battle. We're 33-4 when we break even or better since I've been coaching this team, and you show up to the stadium even. And that's on us to keep it that way or improve our standards there.
You can find that entire conversation on Vikings.com or the Vikings app. Now, it hasn't been since week 1 that the Vikings and Bears faced off. And although it was 10 weeks ago, it feels like a lifetime. I caught up with ESPN's Courtney Cronin to talk about the Bears' recent success and what has changed about this team since September. Speaking of the Bears, who have been have really turned their season around. They only have 1 loss in the last 7 games. What's really led to their success in recent weeks?
Well, I think Vikings fans can resonate with this because they remember all those 1-score games their team was in back in 2022. And this sort of has a little feel like that here in Chicago, given the way that the Bengals game went, and then this last weekend against the New York Giants, and of course Washington in week 6 and the Raiders before that. There's been a little bit of this like heart palpitation sort of thing that the Bears have given their fans over the last couple of weeks, given that they're now a 6-3 team and they've gotten by the skin of their teeth on a couple of these games. And certainly the key to that has been Caleb Williams putting this team in position with 4 fourth-quarter game-winning drives this season, tied for the most in the NFL currently. But beyond that, like big picture wise, this team is winning games that it would have lost a year ago. And players have admitted that. Ben Johnson has said just as much too, that you learn how to win. Like you learn how to shrink the margins when you can close the gap on teams that you might have let it hang around far too long in a game, that you didn't put away when you had an opportunity to, when you let penalties come into play, when you let teams back in games the way they did 2 weeks ago in Cincinnati. But being on the winning end of those, you're not going to apologize for wins. Certainly they wish that they could, and hopefully for their sake, to be able to carry this thing forward, to be able to win games far sooner than the final 2 minutes. But they've shown that they can pull it off. And so far it's worked and has them sitting tied for first place in the division.
Courtney will be at the game on Sunday, covering it for ESPN NFL Countdown that morning. And of course, you can see our entire conversation on Vikings.com and the Vikings app. You can also find the latest episode of Film Room with Vikings analyst Pete Bercich as he dives into the tape to see what's been working for Chicago's offense.
Another thing Ben Johnson has done is he's revamped this Bears running game. They're averaging over 180 some yards over the last couple of games, but they want to throw the football off of that. Look, before this play starts, keep an eye on this guy right here, the linebacker, because he's the one responsible for this boot, okay? Caleb takes the snap, fakes the toss, now pause it. Look where this linebacker is and look where he's looking. He is completely lost. He is in no man's land. It's a horrible feeling. And all Caleb Williams has to do is roll out, and you have Rome Odunze, one of their best receivers, standing with not a defender within 15 yards. That's what a good running game gets you. It gets you to set up plays like this and then give Rome Odunze time to run after the catch because he's dangerous there as well. So like any defensive coordinator facing a young quarterback, you want to pressure him. You want to get him off his spot. You want to get after him. Caleb Williams is getting pretty good at this too. And on this play, you're going to see it's a double outside, kind of a saw blitz where you're sending the nickel from the outside, and then you're going to send this other defensive back from the outside and try to just pinch Caleb Williams into the box. walking everybody up in front so you can do what? So you can drop these guys out underneath for the underneath coverage. Really only a 4-man rush, but sometimes it hits home. But watch Caleb Williams diagnose this thing right away and get the football to Rome Odunze, his outlet down here at the bottom. Odunze running the underneath route. You see the linebacker right here. He's working his way, trying to get out to the curl, so it's just a throw and catch. He's able to catch that thing, turn it upfield, but what a quick decision by Caleb Williams to identify the blitz and know exactly where to go with the football. Another example of play-action passing and how it opens things up for Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams. Again, that's why the running game is so important to these Bears now. But you see the splits from the wide receivers. Everybody's tight. Everybody's close to the formation. Why? Because they're going to attack the middle of the field. And watch what happens. Caleb Williams under center, turns his back, gets to the top of his drop, and you can see by middle open, you have 2 safeties in the middle of the field. So what's open? Well, you guessed it, either split the 2 or work toward the middle of the field. And Caleb Williams with a beautiful pocket. This is what a great running game can buy you. It can buy you all of this space so you have patience to let things happen. He sees this opening in the middle of the field right there on the logo. This gigantic open area. Rome Odunze's getting ready to break down. He's going to move there. Caleb Williams throwing the football on a dime, moves the chains. But we got to take a look at this play from the end zone. You hear coaches talk about arm talent. What exactly is that? This is a perfect example, and the end zone view just points it out beautifully. Play fake, Caleb Williams at the top of his drop. He sees, again, this area right here is coming open. However, you've got this pesky little linebacker that's sitting there and actually doing a great job reading Caleb's eyes and working himself toward the middle of the field. Now watch as this football's thrown just over the extended fingertips. Not a laser beam, not a moonshot, but the perfect amount of arc on this football to hit Rome Odunze in stride right in the middle of the field.
Still to come on Vikings Weekly, Aaron Jones shares a special moment with his mom at Sunday's game. Harrison Smith reflects on his career heading into his 200th career contest. And Jalen Naylor talks about his motto this season and how J.J. McCarthy is helping him follow through with it. Welcome back into Vikings Weekly. I'm your host, Tatum Everett. This year's NFL Salute to Service Award nominee is running back Aaron Jones for the way he gives back to our nation's military. Why he was so deserving for this nomination was never more relevant than in last week's Salute to Service game. Aaron ran out of the tunnel first and was surprised by his mother, Bercich, at the end of the run. Both Aaron's parents served in the military, which is why they were our military spotlight on Sunday.
My name is Bercich Yvonne Jones, 27 years in the Army, retired Sergeant Major. What inspired me to get involved into the military was survival, taking care of my daughter, trying to find a better way out of the situation I was in. The most impactful experience was having to deploy to Iraq and leave my kids and not know if I was going to make it back. Being in the military, it has taught us so much. And we was able to instill all the values that we learned in the military into our children. We started volunteering as a family when they were 3 years old. And we're volunteering because if you have some extra, you're gonna give it back. And I am so tremendously proud of all of them. I am. It's a family effort. It's not just the service member who served, it's the family as well. And their hardships are just as hard as ours because what we're going through, they're being impacted in some kind of way. For him to get involved, I couldn't ask for anything more. I couldn't.
Please welcome retired Sergeant Major Bercich Jones.
Aaron Jones also scored his first rushing touchdown of the season in that game. However, his teammate on offense, Jalen Nailor, stole the show with a career day and a clutch performance. I got to sit down with him this week to talk about how J.J. McCarthy is helping him build his confidence and what his motto is this season.
Two receivers right, McCarthy wearing the 9. He's going to fade left to Jalen Nailor, caught. Bulldogs to the 20, Vikings to the 10, down at the 5.
That catch and run. How much do you feel like that play personifies what you do best?
I just think it's who I am as a player, you know, a guy who likes to get the ball, just try to make a play whenever it's needed, and that was a great way to show my ability and what I can do with the ball in my hand.
Back right of the end zone, caught, touchdown!
You had that amazing 4th and 10 touchdown.
Look at the drag there. That's really well done.
Now that you've been able to watch it, I can see it in your face. What do you take away from that?
It's kind of a feeling, you know. I knew I was running through the end zone in my route, and I didn't want to get pushed out, so I tried to fight as much as I can to stay in. I honestly thought I was out, but when I looked back at it, I scored, so I'm excited.
It was also your first career 100-yard game. What did that mean to you on a personal level?
It definitely meant a lot, you know. It's been a long time since I've went past 100 yards going back to college, so just having that moment happen and the guys just being there for me and excited for me as well, it meant a lot.
What has been the difference?
I'd say like the consistency, week in and week out, just trying to be there for the quarterback, be quarterback friendly, and show that I'm a viable target.
I think we all noticed how quarterback friendly you are for J.J. McCarthy.
He's somebody that always just, you know, sticks to his process, does all the little things right, does the dirty work, and, you know, doesn't complain at all. And he's a tremendous football player.
J.J. McCarthy and Jalen Nailor, they have really developed some really good chemistry.
What does it mean to hear him say that about you after the game?
It means a lot coming from our quarterback, you know. He drives the ship.
McCarthy looking that way. It's caught by Nailor. Speeding Nailor.
This past game, I had to cross around through the middle, and throughout the week he was telling me, if you see this hole open up, kind of like throttle down a little bit and I'll find you. And it happened in the game, so I mean, we have that connection there off the field.
Nailor added that having a receivers coach who's played in the league for 17 years like Keenan McCardell is a blessing and brings so much wisdom to the table. It's rare to see NFL careers last that long, however. Harrison Smith has been doing it for 14 seasons now. In fact, on Sunday, he'll play in his 200th career game. He's only the 6th Viking in franchise history to make that mark. Let's take a look back at some of his favorite plays.
To his left, takes the snap. Skelton, 3-step drop, steps away from the pressure, runs up the middle, fires, intercepted, and it's picked off by Harrison Smith. The rookie comes to the right side, leap through the end zone, touchdown!
First career interception, got it back to the end zone. It was a play where I was kind of a free player, going off the quarterback.
Intercepted, and it's picked off by Harrison Smith. The rookie comes to...
Fortunately, he gave me a chance to get my hands on it, caught it, tried to get up the sideline. It was a little dicey over there, so I cut it back and got some good blocks. Jared Allen threw me a good one, and Chad Greenway. You know, I remember when I first got in the building, I saw Adrian. That was one of those moments where you're like, oh, I'm like sharing the locker room with these guys, these, you know, superstars, and pretty surreal, but at the same time, knew I had to, you know, meet their expectations.
Looking for Marshall, and you just said Harrison Smith, and he has just picked off Jay Cutler at the 12-yard line, and that could turn out to be a huge
I think I'm just kind of getting to the half here, kind of trying to lie to him a little bit. I know he's got Brandon Marshall over here to my left, his right.
Last year, I imagine that was the reason Smith got the interception for a touchdown last year. Jay Cutler had to lose vision on Harrison Smith.
Again, just playing ball, going off the quarterback. He tries to pump me, and I didn't go for it that time. I do remember I had an arm wrap on because I hit. Matt Forte got me with his knee in my arm, so I remember that was aching a little bit, but it was a good play. Wish I could have got some return yards.
Third and short, looks the way of Randall, fires, intercepted at the 35-yard line. It's Harrison Smith, 15-10, touchdown!
Yeah, this one I was the middle field safety. Kind of new in this formation. He likes to go back that way.
Intercepted at the 35-yard line. Harrison Smith down the sideline to the end zone.
Coming off, I had a little knee injury. I missed a couple games, so I was just happy to be back on the field with my guys. When the ball's in the air and I know I have a chance for it, you get that feeling, you get excited. Once I got back on the ground, I was like, oh, I could score with this one, and again, got some good blocks by the guys. See Anthony Barr out there blocking, Sendejo, the whole squad.
And a one-handed interception by Harrison Smith.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Hundley ever saw Smith or not. This is a ball you had to kind of lay, but he tried to drive it. Harrison Smith.
Yeah, this is a good catch for sure. I was actually lined up wrong and then realized it and got to the right spot before the ball was snapped. There was a run action and I almost went for it and I was like, no. And kind of in the spot I was in, I was like, there's got to be something behind me, due to that action. So got just enough depth and width to get a hand on it and then finish it off.
A big congratulations to Harrison Smith for this amazing milestone. You can take a look back at more of his favorite moments on Vikings.com or the Vikings app. Well, Sunday's just around the corner as the Vikings and Bears face off at US Bank Stadium in an NFC North divisional showdown. But before we go here on Vikings Weekly, let's get you hyped for Harrison Smith's 200th career game.
All set?
Ready when you are.
Ready.
2012 draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Harrison Smith.
That's a pick I really like.
It's kind of surreal.
D22 right in the middle.
I really like Harrison Smith.
Impact player. He makes a lot of plays. Because Harrison go make a play.
Harrison Smith flipped.
And it is picked by Harrison Smith.
And he blasted him. Intercepted at the 35-yard line. Harrison Smith. Every bowler loves that.
They called him the Hitman.